giving honor to my president and my colleagues on the rostrum, and saying to the conveners of this council that inviting me to speak here shows the vastness of your kindness and the depths of your tender mercies. I count it a privilege to be here. I would like for us to revisit Psalms 145. We are not going to read the entire thing, but we're going to pitch our tent around the first 3 or 4 verses. I will extol thee, my God, O King. I will bless thy name forever and ever. Every day will I bless thee, and I will praise thy name forever and ever. Great is the Lord and greatly to be praised, and his greatness is unsearchable. One generation shall praise thy works to another, and shall declare thy mighty acts. Last verse says, all thy works shall praise thee, O Lord, and thy saints shall bless thee. When I received the invitation to speak at this council, they gave me some very broad parameters to operate in as far as sermon is concerned. They suggested that I might want to focus in on one of our fundamental beliefs. With that in mind, I went back and perused our fundamental beliefs again. And I came away very impressed with us. We have 27 basic beliefs. That's a lot of beliefs. We have 27 basic beliefs, and those 27 basic beliefs are organized into 568 subtopics. Those 27 basic beliefs are given to us in 3,388 words. That's just our basic beliefs. We as a people, we believe in a multitude of things. As a group of Seventh-day Adventists, we believe in words, and we believe in numbers, and we believe in meetings. As a group, we have plenty of positions and plenty of policies. Our working policy for our church is 827 pages single space. We we believe in words. And we got a lot of words. But not only that, we got a lot of levels. We have the local church, and we have the conference, and we have the union, and we have the division, and we have the general conference, but it goes farther than that. General conference, we have the administrative committee and the executive committee and the councils and departments and institutions and foundations. Then on the division level, we have administrative committee, executive committee, councils, departments, foundations, associations. Then on the union level, we have administrative committees and executive committees and councils and departments and institutions and associations. Then on the conference level, we have administrative committees and executive committees and councils and departments. We are a well-organized group of people. On top of all of that, we have delegates and large committees and small committees. We have associations and fellowships and councils and federations. We are an extremely organized, and I looked at this with great pride, but then I saw a bit of danger lurking in the background. I looked at all of the levels, and we have in our church a helicopter policy. We have in our church a policy on how we use lawyers. We have a policy for everything you can, and we are a very organized group, and I'm proud of that. But in the background, I saw a danger lurking. Now all these levels and all these phases, yet there's a danger. Every now and then, you see, every now and then one's politics and policies and procedures outpace the purveyor of one's passion and power. There's a potential danger when you have more legislation than you do meditation. There's a danger sometimes when the business of here and now overshadows the blessings of after a while. So I was confused. And I wondered, what then shall I preach? When I'm preaching to preachers who have preached everything that I could possibly preach, what then shall I preach? So I decided that I would have a survey. And I did the same thing that Gallup polls do. I asked one person. I traveled to the back roads of my own imagination. And there I encountered Brother John Q. Member. And I said, Brother Member, I've got this assignment to speak at a council for preachers. Is there anything on your heart that you think I ought to say? Can you possibly give me some marching orders? And in my mind's eye, I saw Brother John Q. Member responding and saying, As a matter of fact, there is something that I wish you would do for me. Ted, when you get down there and all of you preachers get together, would you ask them if it is at all possible, if they could, or if they would they give us just a little more Jesus? He said, I know that you all have a lot on your plate, but could you? And would you give me just a little more Jesus? He said, you have strategically planned me. You have small group ministered to me, but not. Would you? Could you give me just a little more Jesus? He says, I buy your global vision. I buy your around the world efforts, but would you? Could you give me just a little more Jesus? He said, I delight in your doxology and I'm devoted to your doctrine, but would you? Could you give me just a little more? He says, I know that you have a lot of duties. He says, I know as a pastor you have a lot of special occasions and special days and a lot of other things that you have to address. He said, I know you've got Men's Day and Women's Day and Youth Day and Family Life Day and Health Day and Pathfinder's Day and Deacon's Day and Deaconess Day and Usher's Day and International Day and Education Day and Stewardship Day and Religious Liberty Day and Community Guest Day and Spirit of Prophecy Day and Disability Awareness Day and Evangelism Day and Literature Evangelist Day and Singles Day and Children's Day and Human Relations Day, but would you? If you possibly could you give me just a little more Jesus? He said, I know you've got federations and many youth congresses and graduations and camp meetings and alumni meetings and leadership retreats and single retreats and cabarets and workshops, but would you? If at all possible, give me just a little more Jesus. Says, I'm willing to do whatever it takes as a member. So you have thoroughly indoctrinated me. So you've taken all the pork out of my icebox. You have stripped me of all my rings and earrings. He says, I will, even if need be, cancel cheese out of my life. And I will trash my television. But would you? Could you? If at all possible, give me just a little more Jesus. He says, I don't care what your particular litany is. He said, you can be sedate or celebrate. But would you? Could you possibly give me just a little more Jesus? He said, will you preach him? And will you teach him? And will you help me to reach him? Will you put more Jesus in my life? Will you bring him so close to me that he can introduce me to myself? Would you? Could you? Just give me a little more Jesus. He says, I know that you have a thematic approach to your sermonic year, but would you? Could you? He says, I understand that you got to be cutting edge and got to think outside the box and have a new paradigm and move to another level, but could you? possibly share with me another Jesus? Give me a little bit more of Jesus. Would you preach to me about swaddling clothes? Would you tell me all about this virgin birth? Would you let me know what he was doing in the temple at 12 years of age? Could you tell me how he took the well and turned it into a vineyard? Tell me what kind of medicine was that in the hem of his garment? Lead me down the road in Galilee to where I can walk beside him. Let me sit down at the foot of the mountain and watch him use a little boy's lunch. Let me stand beside him at the pool of Bethesda, would you? If you could, just give me a little more Jesus. Let me understand how he took spittle and clay and performed laser surgery. Let me understand how he was able to walk on water. Let me see him. Let me reach out and touch him. Would you? Teach me what he did in the garden. Take me back through that judgment hall. Don't leave out Calvary. Talk to me about early Sunday morning. Teach me about Jesus. I know you got some pressing matters, but teach me about him. Give me that water right there. He said, I'm not asking for much. I'll be a faithful tither. I'll do a tithe and 5, tithe and 10. If you would just give me a little more Jesus. I know there are issues of the day, but if at all possible, could you spare just a little more of Jesus? From Sabbath to Sabbath, I will attend Sabbath school. I'll get involved in personal ministry. I'll come back to AY. But when you stand behind the block of wood, would you? Could you just give me a little more Jesus? Why would we not? Why would we not? I thought about that using my own experience. I remember pastoring in Kansas City, Missouri, back in the early 80s. I followed you there, Mac. And they had this movie on television called The Day After. And it was a movie that talked about what would happen if there was a nuclear war. They had a nuclear war. What would happen there in Kansas City? After the movie was over, newscasters came on. And they said there were demonstrations, anti-nuclear demonstrations going on all over the United States in most big cities. And they said the largest one was right there in Kansas City. I was there with my wife. I said, let's go down to that. Let's go down to that demonstration. Well, she reluctantly said, okay. We get dressed and we go down. I get down there, and there are thousands and thousands of people. People everywhere. And way up front, there was this, up near the statue, there was this little podium, this little platform. And there was people standing up there giving speeches. So I told my wife, I said, I got to go make a speech. So she said, what? I said, I have to go say something. She said, what are you talking about? I said, there are too many people here for me not to say something. So I got to go say something. She said, you don't know anything about this? I said, I know, but I still got to say something. Took me several minutes to make my way through the crowd. Finally, I get up there to the platform, and I look for the person in charge, and I see this young lady standing there with a clipboard. And I go over to her and I say, when do I speak? And she said, what? I said, when do I speak? And she said, who are you? I said, who am I? I'm Randy Stafford. She said, who do you represent? I said, who do I represent? I represent black people. So she looked down on her little sheet as if my name was there. She said, you're the fifth speaker. So now I get just a little bit concerned, but I stand back and I'm watching the other speakers, and they were getting up, and most of them seemed to be poets, and they were saying, the earth is love, and the sky is love, and the air is love, and hurt not the earth, and hurt not the air, and hurt not the sky. And then it was my turn. And I got up there and I said, you know, we live in a democracy. As a matter of fact, all of the politicians, whatever position they hold, they work for we the people. We are the ones that give them their job assignments. We're the ones that tell them what to do. We select them to do what we want them to do. And we have not told them to have nuclear armament hanging over our heads like the sword of Damocles. So what we've got to do is send a message to our employees. We've got to tell them to stop the drop. We've got to tell the president to stop the drop. We've got to tell the vice president to stop the drop. We've got to tell the senators to stop the drop. We've got to tell the Congress. And all of those people start saying, stop the drop. Stop the drop. I said, we've got to tell our governor to stop the drop. And I kept going until I got it as loud as I thought I could get it. And I turned around and walked away. And when I walked away, there was a person there, and he said, what is your name? And I noticed he had a microphone, and there was a camera pointing at me. And he said, could we get you to come on our news program tomorrow and to debate a military man? I said, excuse me. And I got off of the stage and went back through the people and went home. I didn't know anything about nuclear armament. I was just up there showing off. I wasn't serious. I have noticed that every now and then we stand behind this block of wood just to show off. We don't know anything about the person we need to be talking to. We're not connected with him. What we need to do is go through the crowd and go home. But if you're going to stay here, would you? Could you give all of the people just a little more Jesus?